preservationists and the archivists, they have the toughest job, in my opinion, because we tend to want to put things on gizmos like this, or we'll put them on things that look like this. And the problem is, in the current environment, is that these things change really fast. And I have to worry whether or not I'm going to have a gizmo that I can stick this gizmo in, and then I have to worry whether or not the software that runs that gizmo can read this gizmo, and that sort of stuff changes so much. I really don't know a long-term strategy for archivists and preservationists, but there are lots of techniques that will work a long time for the other sorts of things. And what I really want to point out here is that in this environment, in this short-term future, the whats of librarianship I don't think are going to change very much. It's still going to be about collection. It's still going to be about preservation. It's still going to be about organization. It's still going to be about redistribution of content. It's the hows that are going to be different. It's not the what you do that is going to change very slowly or change very quickly. It's the how you do it. And all we have to do really is think about, if you think that your job is about books, you probably don't have a very growing future. But if you think it's about the stuff that's in books and what books manifest, then there's an enormous amount of potential. All you have to do is think about the way of getting there, and I think that there's enormous amounts of opportunities. Okay, given that sort of background, I advocate, and this is just something that I like to do, I advocate that library catalogs are less and less going to be about inventory, the stuff I own, and it's going to be more and more about providing access to stuff and making the stuff useful. Everybody out there can find more stuff than they know what to do with. Finding stuff is relatively easy. What do I do with the thing once I get it? And I think that's the key to next generation library catalogs. But then you have to start thinking to yourself, is the word catalog really what I'm getting at? Let's see here. If it's less about access and ownership and more about usefulness, I sometimes like to use the word services. It's more and more, I think, about services against the catalog and services against the items in the catalog. These are just some examples. These services are all manifested or can be enumerated with action verbs. What can I do? Okay, and I put these types of services into two different piles. Services that you can use against the catalog or against the index, and services that you can do against the stuff. Okay, let's see here. Cite. That might be, well, that's not a good one. Find more like this one. That's a service against the index. You do some sort of search, and you have some sort of results, and there might be a little button down there that says, find more like this one. Now, that might take the author or the subject words or something like this and then reformulate the search to find other ones. That's a service against the index. Another service against the index would be something like, did you mean? Put in spelling or put in words, find some stuff. You didn't find a whole lot. It comes back and says, oh, you didn't find a whole lot here, but here's some other, here, you might try this search strategy as well. Find more like this one, or did you mean? That's a service against the index. Well, that's all very well and good. That helps find. But again, people can find already. They find all, we're still drinking from the proverbial fire hose. What can we do different than Google, which is real good at find, differently than Google? And I think that one of those things was exemplified by WorldCat Identities, providing services against the content. And there are examples in here. Let's see here. Trace citation forward and backward. I might have a document, and I might want to provide some sort of service that summarizes that document. That's entirely possible. I could go through and read all the words and make a tag cloud out of it. I might take a document, and it might be in an XML file, and I might want to convert it to something that's for printing, or I might want to convert it for something that's on my screen, or I might want to, I don't know, translate it in some sort of way that I can feed it into a database. That would be a service against the text. I have a few more specific examples here. A lot of them are text related, and I was challenged the other day to think about some that deal with other formats, but I'll go with here to begin with. Suppose I have a catalog or a library discovery system, or whatever you want to call it. It's full of stuff. And let's just suppose that I identify 4 or 5, 6 or 7 books that match my query, and I'm interested in all of them. But my time is limited. I'm unable to read all of those books. Maybe what I could do is I could create a tag cloud or a word cloud against all those books. I could say, take all those books, pull out all of the words, put them all into a great big list, count the number of times those words appear in all those documents, and make a word cloud, and then the words that are bigger appear more often in my texts. This would be a wonderful way of summarizing, kind of, sort of, what's in those particular books. I might do another thing. I might take all those books, pull out all of the words, and I might say things like, these 5 or 6, 7 or 8, 9 or 10 words appear in all of these books. That's compare. All of these books are similar. But I also might provide a service against those texts that say, these couple of words here only appear in this document, and these couple of words here only appear in that document, and these few words only appear in these couple of documents. That's a particular way of providing services against the text and say how these documents are different. Okay? That's a service against the text. We could figure out how to do that. Another service against the text. Suppose I have a number of articles or a number of books, and they all have pictures in them. And I don't really care about the words so much. I really like the pictures. Let's figure out a way to extract all of the pictures from the articles, from the books, and create some sort of interface so that I can go and flip through my pictures, and go, oh, that's the picture I want. And then be able to leap to that particular place in the particular document. Another service against the text. The one I like the most, the one I think that is the most exciting, is the idea of annotating and sharing your annotations. Find a particular article, find a particular book, find a particular something. It really doesn't matter what. Allow the person to draw or mark up or tag or summarize, and I don't really like the word annotate. Allow the person to annotate that particular document and add their particular values. Then save that particular thing, those annotations, back into the centralized store. And then, when that item comes back, allow the second user to turn on or turn off particular people's annotations. I want to see annotations by this person. I want to see annotations by that type of person. And this way, again, we can provide services against the texts. If you have data sets in your catalog, figure out some sort of rudimentary way to do analysis against those data sets, to summarize this, to draw some sort of conclusions. I don't think you'd be able to do all the data analysis a particular data set had, but you might be able to do some. Services against the index and services against the texts.